Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful day with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd. I was seeing myself just a moment ago. I am right now totally in the dark and I don't quite understand what that is. I'm going to refresh a moment and see what we got. Much better. Much better, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. Um, I have an interesting show today. One of them is numerology questions that people will ask or want to know. Yes, I'm going to do readings, but what I would like to do today also is answer some of the questions. I was in Capitol Heights, Maryland last weekend, and people were asking all kinds of questions. So normally people call in to get readings, definitely so. But I also want to kind of take a moment to answer some questions that some of you may have. Okay. In fact, in my book on page 360 of my book, Numbers in You, a Numerology Guide for Everyday Living, I did have a section called Questions Asked of Me, like which came first, astrology, numerology. Is it easy to learn? Do you need a degree? Things of that nature. But I want to take a whole different kind of look or perspective at how this is working. And yes, I will definitely take your calls. I see some of the comments already. And okay. And I always got to give props to Melanated Brown. She is always her first in line. Bless her soul. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope it's a lady. I'm sure. Yes, it is. Yes, it is from what I see. Okay, thank you so much. It's very interesting. What I want to do is I want to take some questions off the top that I had, and one of them is, what does it take to master numerology? Well, like in all things, you got to have a temperament. Some people have natural gifts toward things more than others. Some people have a gift toward more cooking. You let me cook, you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Let I give it to my friend, a chef, Paul Chisholm. He knows how to just lay it out, tastes great, stuff like that. Everybody brings a gift. So some have to greater or lesser degrees a gift toward numerology or any other subject. So what it takes, if anything, is practice, dedication, persistence, and not giving up. Because sometimes when you're dealing with the public, they can really put a damper in the day. Now, how can one become a numerologist? Simple, by studying. Now, in the time I was coming up and studying numerology, it was like almost hidden, um, in a sense that astrology was almost taboo too. And I remember brothers used to walk around with their numerology books list in a paper wrapping. You know what I'm saying? So you couldn't really see what book you were reading unless you asked them or look inside. Nowadays, books on numerology, astrology, palmistry, tarot, you name it, all of it is out there for the whole world to see. But at that time, it was different in the late 60s, 70s. Okay. So, one of the things is, uh, can one tell the difference, especially of twins? For example, I've been asked questions about, can you tell the difference between twins? Yes, there is a difference between even identical twins, much less fraternal twins. Identical twins mean they look just alike, two boys, two girls looking just alike. More than likely, they're not going to have the same name. But what happens if they do have the same name? But before I continue to show, there's a thing where I'm slipping a little bit, and I'm going to get that straight. One of them is today's show is sponsored by King Simon. He's going to have an event coming up on the 13th and the 14th of April in Nicholas, Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street in downtown Brooklyn, New York City. And on the 13th, he's going to be having himself, these two beautiful ladies, my brother, Brother, wow, that's interesting. I'm having a kind of a moment. Hank Rising son. Wow. Okay. Thanks, Hank. And the name is right there. So anyway, he's going to have there, and I'll at toward the end. When I clean up the, well, when I go toward the end of the sponsorship, I can tell Mercury's almost retrograde. All this little confusion. Also, sponsorship of Jazz Aphrodite. Her book is being actually in publication. That's why I'm going to bring her on the air on the 15th, Monday the 15th, where you can all see the books. And then, so for those of you who order the books, you will be getting it. And last but not least, Manifest on Purpose with Miss Kimberly. And it always deals with the subconscious mind, which is one of my favorites. And I definitely snatched one of her favorite sayings in the beginning of the show, that the God in me loves the God in you. Because if we're made in God's image, as they say in the good book, then obviously there's a God in me. And therefore, I would assume there's a God in you, if that makes sense. But anyway, before we start, let's see with the forecast. Today's Wednesday, March the 20th. We are in the spring equinox. Now, I understand it went early as yesterday. Some say tomorrow on the 21st. But nonetheless, the sun is still in Pisces. The moon is in Leo. It's 11 universal month, 5 universal week, a 4 universal day. Those under the signs of Leo, Aquarius, and Gemini, or if you're born on the 1st, the 4th, the 10th, the 13th, the 19th, 22nd, 28th, or 31st of the month. Well, that is you. Okay. Now, one question that was asked of me is, what about twins? Can you tell the difference of twins? Yes. Even though they may look alike, normally 9 times out of 10, they have a different name. Okay. One may be John, the other identical twin may be Joseph. Okay. Or James, whatever the case may be. But what I want to do is show you illustration of how that works with twin names. Let's say somebody, now I do understand George Foreman, the former boxer, all his boys are named George. I understand even the dog was called George. Now, I don't know if that's true. I didn't have time to do no research on it. But this is what I heard a long time ago. I guess when he says, hey, George, everybody, all the boys jump to attention. I don't know if that's true or not. But if so, please let me know in the comment section. And by the way, please like, share, and subscribe. I always keep forgetting to do that. And I always forget to let you know that I will never DM you for monies. Never, never. And never talk to you in the way about, oh, love, like I know you like that. That is not how. Let me say this. I wasn't raised that way. Okay. I was raised a certain way by my parents. When you talking to somebody, you talk to them a certain way, and it's with respect. Okay. Not like love and like, yo, boo, like that stuff like that. I mean, I know how to talk like that, but that's not how you do that. And I would never approach any of you with that kind of language, like, hey, boo, you need a reading. Hey, love, so and so. That, not unless we got a relationship going on. But even then, they ain't that kind of relationship. So I just want to get that straight. But getting to the twins, I've got some examples here. Let's say you have identical twins and their name is Aaron. So Aaron is spelled a couple of ways. The beautiful part about names is they're spelled differently. So for example, if you look at how, and I'm using, by the way, the Pythagorean system that goes from 1 to 9 that most people are accustomed to. All right. So if you look at Aaron, the first one, Aaron, it adds to the master number 22-4. And if you look at Aaron without, and I've seen Aaron's with 1A, Aron, it adds to 21, which is a 3. So see, when you understand the nature of a number, you can tell. If I says, well, somebody asked me, well, of these two Aarons, who would talk the most? Well, that would be the bottom Aaron with the 3. 3 is the number of talking people. They love to talk. They love to express themselves. If you ask, well, which one would be the more laid back Aaron, it would be the number 4, because they normally reserved. They like to be their own best company. They like to think outside the box and things of that nature. Now, Catherine is very interesting because the name Catherine is spelled 24 different ways. I only picked 2 examples, one starting with a C, one starting with a K. So in the case of Catherine, I think, which is one of the normal traditional ways, this adds the 43, and 4 plus 3 is 7. When I add the other Catherine spelled this way, it add up to 44, which is an 8. So if you were to ask me, well, which of these twin Catherine's would be more business-like, I'd have to go with the one with the number 8, because 8 rules business, it rules finance, it rules real estate and banking and law and entrepreneurs and things like that. But if you ask me, well, which one would be more kind of spiritually inclined, those who would be more analytical in their research, more independent in their thoughts and thinkings and spirituality, that would be Catherine with the C, with the number 7, because 7s and 9s are the spiritual numbers. Those are the only 2 numbers that are found on the spiritual plane in the magic box. And so you can tell quite a bit about names in this sense. And by the way, let's say let's say go back to Catherine, right? The Catherines. Let's say Catherine was born yesterday at 10:30. Well, the moon then was in the sign of Cancer. Let's say the bottom Catherine was born about maybe an hour later, because sometimes twins don't come back to back. I've heard mothers that say they had to wait a couple of hours, they had to wait several minutes. That's why it also changes the ascendant sign of the twins as well. Well, the moon went into the sign of Leo yesterday at 3:33 yesterday afternoon Eastern Standard Time. So if Catherine at the top was born at 2:30 and Catherine at the bottom was born at 3:30, they're both under the same sign of Pisces, but their moons are totally different. Totally different. So in the name of Catherine, she would be a water sign with a water number. And in other words, her sign is water. The moon would be in Cancer, which is water. But the name Catherine, born at 3:30, well, or 3:35 or 3:40, her moon would be in the sign of Leo, which would make her more fiery. So this is why you must, when you go to an astrologer, I'm telling you, it is best to have the exact time you were born. It just makes their life so much easier. Now, then there are cases where you have maternal twins, whereby one is a boy, one is a girl. So here's what we did. I'm going to take Bobby. Let's say they says, okay, Bobby is the boy at the top, Bobby is the girl underneath. Well, if I did the name Bobby spelled this way, although they're twins, but maternal twins or things of that nature, the Bobby at the top is a 1, and the Bobby, the girl portion of the twin, would be an 8. Now, 1s and 8s are both found on the business plane. So collectively, as twins in that sense, and like twin partners, twin business associates, or if they formed a business together, Bobby and Bobby, XYZ, LLC, something like that, they would do both very well. Bobby, the girl, because it's an 8, would be more solid. In a sense, it's ruled by the element of earth. Bobby, the brother at the top, would be more fiery. Okay. And by the way, there's a question about why the name and why the birthday that I'm going to explain in a moment. But this just goes to show you the difference. Now, one of the more popular names underneath the Bobbies is Michelle. Okay. And for example, it's interesting because the name will also draw to them the persons in their life. So the first thing that came to my mind was Michelle Obama. And the name Michelle is a 4. Well, her husband, Barack, was born on the 4th of August. Because, see, the name, think of your name as a magnet. It's your name that sends out a frequency that draws certain zodiac signs and birthdays to you. Okay. So why the name, why the birthday? I'm going to explain that in a moment. It's very, very important. But consider the name like the teacher and the birthday like the pupil. So not only will her name attract the top Michelle, not only would her name attract those that are under the sign of born on the 1st or the 4th, the 10th or the 13th, whatever, but you will also attract more Aquarians first, then Leos, then Geminis. That's who she would attract more. If you look at the other Michelle underneath with just 1 L, that's 37. So if you ask me which would be more the assertive of the two, it would be the bottom Michelle because it's a number 1. Number 1s assert themselves. This is why number 1s are your leaders, your managers, your visionaries, your futurists, your heads of departments. The first, they're the groundbreakers. They go where no person has gone before, as they say. All right. So that is the difference of why it's important to understand your name. Part of this is I teach in my Learn from LLoyd series that's available on my site. Go to Linktree / numbers in you, if you want to sign up for those courses. But you can tell the difference. And then I have one more set of names. Well, the person will say, well, what about the case where, it's John? Now, George, I don't know if I think there's a French way of spelling George too, but I just took John. Okay. I'm, for example, the bottom John, it's like John Haggins, the famous fashion designer. All right. So then there's a regular John, like in John Harris. So if you look at John at the top, he is a 2. Now, 2s are normally sensitive. 2s normally do well in computers, technology, engineering, the mechanical, mathematical sciences, and whatnot. But the bottom John, the brother, whose also name is John, would be totally different, more expressive, more proactive, more engaging, more determined to succeed, more expressive in their situation. The beauty of this is just understanding the nature of the number. And one of the most popular names, too, is also Kimberly. Normally, traditionally, 95% of the time is spelled the way at the top. Then there are other variations, such as the one at the bottom. I've seen the name Kimberly spelled about 4 or 5 different ways. I've seen it where the E is between that L and Y, like the Kimberly there at the bottom. I've seen it where the E is omitted and the A is there. So if you look at the difference, the Kimberly at the top is a 5. So therefore, they would attract more Geminis and Virgos to them, or people born on the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd. Because, see, don't forget, the name is like the magnet that draws to you certain people in your life. And so this would explain it. The name Kimberly at the bottom is a 6. Now, 6s are normally your teachers, your social workers, your advisors, your counselors, things of that nature. And this name would attract more Tauruses to them, or Librans to them, or people that are born on the 6th, the 15th, the 24th to them. There is an art to this. I got to be honest. See, when you see me doing this, I make it fun because it's a kind of like entertainment type of situation. And I've been doing it. I'm so used to doing it on radio and whatnot. But this is a very serious art form. It is an ancient African science. Now, some will say pseudoscience. Don't go for the hype. No, it's either science or it's not a science. Okay. And if 2 plus 2 is 4 since the beginning of I don't know when, that's a science. Now, I could get mad, jump up and down this table, but at the end of the day, once I calm my nerves down, 2 plus 2 is still going to be 4 the last time I checked. And so it's very important to understand that. One of them is why the name, why the birthday. When astrology, you just need the birthday. The only difference between numerology and astrology, with astrology, you need to have more to specifics, which is, okay, so numerology and astrology are traveling along the road, right? So they're traveling along the road. Well, they both need the birthday. They both need the month. They both need the year. But where they veer off in a certain direction in astrology, you need to know the exact time you were born, if possible. If not, they will normally start it at 12 noon at the top of the chart in the 10th house. And then you need to know where you were born. So, for example, here on the East Coast, it's now about close to 7:30. Well, in California, it's about close to 3:30 or 4:30 rather. Okay, there's a 3-hour difference. Then, if I look towards China, well, they're about 12 hours ahead. Okay, so that's a whole different India. India is also 12 hours ahead. If I go to Hawaii, which I've been, it's 6 hours behind. So once you know the importance of the location or the time you were born, you need to give them the location. Then the astrologer will deal with like the GPS, where were the stars aligned at and that location on the planet Earth at that time. And this would drive me a little bonkers when I was into astrology, which was my first love. So, for example, a person says, well, I was born at 11:59 a.m. I do the chart. I got everything ready, all ready to make the presentation. Lo and behold, they find their chart and they're born at 11:59 p.m. Well, that 12-hour difference has changed the whole rotation of the chart. So if you possibly can, always, if you're going to go to an astrologer, you can help him or her by also knowing, most times we know where we're born. Yeah, we were born in New York. Where was born in California. We were born here, there. but a lot of times the birthday is the time is kind of foggy. All right. Which leads to this question too that I answered when I was this past weekend, when I was in, or the weekend before, when I was in Capitol Heights, which is my mother says I'm born on at this day, and my birth certificate says I'm born on that day. Well, you ladies out there, you mothers out there, you know. Now, unless in the days of our grandparents and great grandparents where they had 12, 14, 15 kids, things get a little foggy, I will admit. Okay. You know, after that, that's a whole, which is why they used to keep the birthdays in the Bible. That's exactly why they were keeping in the Bible, not only in the South, but in the Caribbean as well, because the midwife would come. And then when the midwife comes, they have a, they might say, okay, I come on a Wednesday. They don't get to the hospital on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes they so busy, they get a little foggy and they'll just throw a birthday in there. So this is what I will tell a person who may have that dilemma that my birth certificate says this and my mother says that. If you are the first, second, or third, or maybe fourth child, almost always, because I've seen the birth of my children, that is one thing a mother doesn't forget. If a mother says, girl, you was born on the first of the month, and that birth certificate says the fifth, and then I'll ask the question, well, was she child number one, number two, number three, number four? If she's child number one and two, especially, I know any mother will vouch for that. All mothers know that is a major milestone in the life of a woman to bring life into this world. And I doubt very seriously if she's going to forget. Really, for the most part, I'd say 99%. Now, sometimes there are certain situations that are true. When a person's in trauma, whatever, and they gave birth and that kind of weird, that's one thing. But that is so rare on the other side of the spectrum. But mostly, you women who given birth know exactly when you gave birth to that child. Now, if I was talking in the days of the grandparents and great grandparents, when it was used to having 10, 15, 12 children, stuff like that. But in this newer century we're in, where people have maybe one or two, maybe three, sometimes maybe four, I doubt very seriously if a mother says, I can't remember when. All right. So me, I always go with the mother. Always. I'm going to always hedge my bets with the mother because that's all my children born. I know what women have to go through. And that's something normally it's a milestone. It's like the guy that when the guy gets his first car. I ain't gonna ever forget when I got my first car. I remember the month, I remember the color, I remember the make, the model. It's a guy thing. That was part of my experience. But when a woman brings life into the world, that's the thing. So that's very, very important to understand. Um, Now, what's the reason for the birthday and the name? And see, this is the part where numerology comes in, which is why I got into numerology. Then I merged the both together. Because with numerology, I don't need to know exactly what time you were born. It's okay. I don't need to know where you were born at. That's okay too. So I eliminated two of the five factors an astrologer would need to do a chart properly for you. I just need to know your month, your day, and your year, and of course your name, other than hey you, to show respect. That's how I was raised. All right. So with that, you don't need much. And so I'm going to be looking at comments, but I'm going to be also looking for questions that some of you may have to do this. Because one of them is it possible you can make a career? But before I do that, let me tell you about numerology and where it veers from astrology. Numerology, like astrology, deals with your birthday, but unlike astrology, numerology deals with your name. So when I talk to a client, I explain your birthday tells me why you're here, but your name tells me what you know. And that's where the difference comes in. Okay. The name, the birthday is somewhat like the pupil, so to speak. Why you're here. So when you take the month, the day, and the year you're born, people know it as destiny, life path, birth path numbers. There's other words I've seen used. Let's say a person is their destiny numbers are 3. And instead of me saying, and especially if a person is not familiar with the terminology, banks got terminologies, mechanics got terminologies, construction workers got terminologies where they'll say something, I say, huh? But I've learned how to not assume that whoever I'm talking to knows what these terms mean, birth path, life path, unless you enter a numerology. So I would tell that person with a 3 so-called destiny that the month, the day, and the year you're born says you're in the 3rd grade in the school of life. Now, when you do that, most people can wrap their heads around that concept because we've all gone to school. We know in the principle of going to school, whatever grade you're in, you got to learn in order to go to the next grade. Okay. So they seem to wrap their heads around that. So that's why it says, it tells me why you're here. You're in the 3rd grade. So from the womb to the tomb, you will be in a 3 destiny or the 3rd grade. And it's like anything, whatever grade you're in, you got to learn that lesson if you want to go to the 4th grade, the 5th grade, the 6th grade, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. For those that are master number 11s, I says that's like getting your master's degree. For those of you whose month, day, and year comes together that adds to the master number 22, it's like you having your PhD degree. Okay. But to whom much is given, much is required. So when you got those master number 11 and 22, you like to brag about, the point is, are you prepared to put in the work, to do what is necessary to elevate yourself to what those master numbers represent? All righty. So that's it. But the name is like the teacher. It tells me what you know. By how? By determining your talents, your gifts, your skills and abilities, and by the repetition of the numbers in the name. So let me see if I can. Is this a good one? Okay, let me see something. Yes, I'll take this example here. If you look at the Michelles, right, you'll see to a degree they got similar numbers. The only thing about the top Michelle, she has one more 3 than the other. So the Michelle spelled at the top has 3 threes. Michelle spelled at the bottom only have 2 threes. In other words, what I'm saying to you, the more a number is repeated, the more it puts emphasis on the name itself. So if I was to do the name Lucille, which I hadn't thought about, Lucille, the name Lucille adds up to 29 under the Pythagorean system, which is the system I was using to illustrate the names here tonight. And so, but yet in the name Lucille, there is not a single 2 in that name at all. There are nothing but 3s in the name. There's about 4, 5, or 6 3s. So although the name would add up to a 2, I would be remiss if I overlooked the fact that so many 3s are appearing through that name. Lucille. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of Lucille, out of 7 letters, 4 of them are 3s. Okay. So that tells me this would be a talkative kind of 2, although the name adds up to 2, it would be more talkative. Now, one of the things is this: can you make a living from doing this? Yes, you can. Can you make a career of doing this? Yes, you can also. But if you're used to like instant gratification, just add water and pop, is not going to happen. In the summer, this summer coming up, I'm going to teach a course for those, because there have been some that have reached out to me like, how can I do this for a living? I didn't have, when this hit me like a bolt out of the blue, I did not have access to numerology teachers. I didn't know anybody who could teach me. The beauty of it, I had 2 things going in my favor. I lived in New York City, where there's 8 million people in the city of New York. And I loved to read, which I inherited from my parents. And in loving to read, they had at that time Mason's bookstore, Wiser's bookstore, the Tree of Life bookstore. All of these were metaphysical centers that which I grabbed books, bought books, learned, and read and read and read. Then I had to apply, because in New York, it's talking about, okay, you say I'm a number 3, what does that mean? Because that's how New York City rolls. This is a tough town if you don't have your act together. All right. And so what I'm saying is that it's those kinds of things. Nowadays, it's so much easier. Numerology, you got access, you can Google it, you can do this and that, research it. Hey, Siri, what is numerology? It'll tell you all these other kind of things. You ask Alexa, you ask this or that. All these things are available now. But at the time it was all kind of kept under wraps. And if you said you were doing this or that, he was like, oh boy, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna get it. So yes, you can. And what I've decided to do is something I've taught numerology since the 70s, believe it or not. But what I haven't taught was how to make this a career, which I'm going to do starting in July. So I'm going to have a very small group to teach you how to do this. Yes, you can do this. You can make this a career. But like in all things, you got to put in the work. This ain't about like, okay, I took the course and, I'll lay back now and, it's going to come to me. No. Mm-mm. In real things, it's like a professional football player. They got to get out there and work their grind. A basketball player, an accountant, or a mechanic. They got to put in the work to become an expert at this. I've put decades literally into doing this. The fact that I've written 4 books, I've got students all over the planet. There's 7 continents on this planet, and my students are in every single continent on this planet. And my Learn with Lloyd series, I now have over 7,000 students. It took a while. So if you think this is going to be overnight, no, then this is not for you. But if you want to make this a career, then it would be to your advantage to dig in. I will teach you everything. All the things I've been through is like taking a shortcut. It's really a cheat code because I can tell you all the drama I went through, all the challenges I went through, and all you got to do is learn and listen and take from there and practice, practice, practice. And everybody's got a birthday, which is why you can take this all over the planet. They may not speak the same language as you, but they're born on some month, some day, some year, and therefore you got their number. You say, well, what happens if I'm in a foreign country and can't speak the language? Well, the technology now on the phones, you got interpreters where all you got to do is speak it in English and tell how you want it to come out in their language, okay? Or you can hear what they're saying, and then it'll spit back to you in an English term of what they're expressing. So you can take this all over the planet. And so, yes, and for those of you who are very serious about doing this, you should drop me a line and you can stop it at star8 llc@gmail.com. That yes, I'd like to venture into a career with this, but it's going to be work. And if you're not used to putting in the work, this is not for you. That's why I'm telling you, yes, it might sound nice and it is fun. And then, and then it allows you to open up doors to understand people, understand yourself better. So I'll start with that. Another thing that people have asked me is, how can you tell if a number is good or bad with a person? To me, that's the most simplest thing based upon the actions of the person. I don't care whether you 1 through 9, 11, 22, 33, up to 99. If you just blocking people's blessings, if you being mean spirited, if you ain't got nothing else better to do to make people's lives difficult, that's a negative number to me, because actions speak louder than words. So that's how you can tell. All the numbers from 1 to 9, 11, and 22 and whatnot have their yin and yang, their pluses and their minuses. I guess that's how we balance things in life. But basically, I'm not talking about that kind. I'm talking about when you do things you know good and well you shouldn't be doing. You know good and well that don't create some karma for yourself. Okay, that's not a good bet. All righty. So anyway, let me get to some of the comments and see if you got some questions. Also for readings, I want to do readings too. Okay. I think somebody asked me how long I've been doing this. I've been doing this for New York Minute, that's for sure. I've been doing this over 35 years, actually 40 years, actually longer than that, to be honest. I started out when I was practically in diapers, only kidding, but I've been doing this a long time. So I'm going to kind of start at the top a second. Okay. And okay, and go down. I'm going to take questions first, and then I'm going to take your birthdays. I promise. All right. I might stay a little extra because I didn't know I was talking that long, but I wanted to kind of show you that. And people have asked me, Lloyd, do you have a job? This is not a job. This is a pleasure. And this is how you find your niche. Okay. Okay. I'll get to this one. This is 7:05. All right. I'm trying to see if you got questions first. I see birthdays. I'm going to get to the birthdays. All right. I'm just looking a second. Okay. And for those of you who buy my book, Numbers in You, I thank you very, very much. I've written several books, so I'll show those to you too at the end. Okay. It says, this one is kind of interesting. Nubian Supreme Divine Goddess. Does your numerology predictions in a star 8 also directly affect or relate to people in the Southern Hemisphere? Yes, it does, no matter where you go on this planet. If you're born on some month and day and year, the only thing that would be different is the time zone. Now, I've met people, I've read clients, I got people from the Middle East, I've got clients from Africa, I got clients from all over the world. Now, the only thing is the people in the Middle East and Africa will have a birthday. They'll come here, they will have another birthday. So sometimes there's confusion, but I try to kind of like work with it. And then sometimes I'll do both birthdays to see which one fits more. Because once you are born, it sets into motion a numerical blueprint, a numerical frequency, or numerical footprint, call it what you will, that will set the tone of how things are. And but I do that by asking questions. That's why you meet with professional numerologists. Okay. Tamika says it's true. All his boys are named after him, referring to George Foreman. I told you I'd heard a long time ago that all his boys are named George. I think he must have about 3 or 4 sons. Even the dog's name was called George. So I guess when he says George, everybody jumps like, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Thanks, Tamika. I wasn't sure because I read so much and there's so much in my head that thanks for that too. That was fun. And this is Jackie Fillmore, blessings from Temple Hill. That's where I was. I was in that area. Let's see. I'm going to get to the birthdays. I promise you. I just wanted to see if there are any questions to get that done. Okay. And I got to say hi to Stephen and Carol Williams in Chicago. And hit that like button, please. Even my moderator, Empress Well, hit. Now, evidently, there's this thing called algorithms that these platforms are like really into. Me, I'm concerned about making sure y'all get the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding. That's my goal. I guess the algorithms help in driving up viewership, whatever the case is. I only realized just the other day that I've done close to 300 shows, which is, had somebody said, Lloyd, you be doing 300 shows. I said, you talking to the wrong one. Or that I have close to 18,000 subscribers, which I'm good. But I did not get into this. I got into. Let me tell you a backstory. I was minding my business, and Jackie Barrios in Philadelphia, I'm sitting in her home, and she put the mic in my face, and that was the first start. And she kind of not challenged me, but said that I can do this. Me, I don't like looking at myself. I was always behind the mic. I've done radio for over 20 something years. So I'm used to that. Like, I ain't got to brush my hair, ain't got to brush my teeth. I can look anywhere I want to. It's just my voice that they're concentrating on. But this is a whole different platform, being in front of a camera or cameras or whatever the case is. So now I got to look kind of decent and stuff like that. But I've gotten kind of used to it. But it wasn't for the purpose of like, oh man, I'm going to get all these ratings, I'm going to get all these money. That was never my objective. I love what I do. I love helping people, being an Aquarius. And that's how all this started for me. All this other stuff, Empress Rel, Jazz Aphrodite, get the thumbs up. Get so y'all help them out. And since it's only free, and we are people that's used to lend me, give me, can you spare, is it free? Or can I get a discount? I would think that y'all shouldn't have no problems on this planet pushing that thumbs up button. Okay. All righty. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take people's questions. I mean, birthdays, I honestly, but I want to see if somebody had a specific question. And then I'm going to go right back to the top. Thanks to both. She says she likes they like my online course on Udemy. How to read it. It's the Learn from Lloyd series, how to read a person like a book. Lloyd's do's and don'ts. The next it's Learn from Lloyd, how to read a person like a book. Learn from Lloyd, the next step in numerology, and Learn from Lloyd, which Jackie or Jazz Aphrodite and I co-authored together, the do's and don'ts of numerology. All of them, when you go to Udemy, you'll find that all of them are either bestsellers or highest rated. It's been that way since I came out the gate in February 2020. Okay. So it's not me saying it, it's their rating system, whatever the case is. All right. So anyway, okay, I think oh, and by the way, when I'm on next week, I'm going to have a bunch of replays. So So a lot of you didn't know I was on. Some of you are now seeing me on Twitter, um, not Twitter, X, but more so on, I should say more TikTok than anything. But it don't seem like I have too many questions. So I'm going to go. Can I put my email in the chat? Empress Rel, if you can put my email in the chat, please. How long will the course be? The course will be, I'm anticipating 5 to 6 weeks. Okay, so it's going to start mid-July through mid-August. All righty. And I picked that at a time because there's going to be a lot of things happening next month with Mercury retrograde, 2 eclipses, one on the 8th, one on the 25th. And I'm going to have an astrologer on to talk about that on the 1st of April when Mercury goes retrograde on that Monday. It's going to be Clear, Washington. Talk about that. Okay. And so I think the email I gave out is Learn from Lloyd 9. It's just Empress Rel, can you put learnfromlloyd9@gmail.com, or my website, which is from the star 8, a star 8, ASTAR, the number 8, LLC@gmail.com. So you got two websites to go to. So let's make it simple. A star 8, named after my app, ASTAR, the number 8, LLC@gmail.com. All right. If you send them there that you're interested, I'm going to send you a questionnaire. This is not no joke. I'm not going to take up your time. I'm not going to take your money. For those of who are really sincere, and I think I can tell since I've been doing this a long time. Yeah, but I've been doing this over 40 years. Definitely. And here's the email address. Well, that is the website to download the app onto your phone. But the real email address is a star 8 LLC@gmail.com. So if you can put that up, Empress, that would be good. That's a star 8 LLC@gmail.com, where people can actually, if they're interested in learning to do this as a career, and I will teach you. I don't play with this. Now, I'll fool around doing some other things I enjoy, but this I take seriously, only because I've been so used to being on radio and television where everything is a kind of in an entertainment factor. That's why I make this entertaining. But this is serious. And when people read my books, they say, whoa, this is deep. Yes, it is. But I've learned how to kind of keep it simple, born in New York City, where people are here something else. I got to tell you, they ain't no joke. God bless them. I will say this to Sundeep. Thank you so much. And you like to get a reading, I'm going to make sure I get back to you too. Okay. I'm almost finished, folks. And this is Darius Sturtevant. You didn't give a birthday, but thank you so much for the donation, man. And see, this was not my purpose of getting into this either. Only because I got on Brother 19 Keys show. See, that started all this stuff. Other than that, I was minding my business. And next thing I know, people start doing this. I am gratefully appreciative of donations, even if it's 99 cents. The point is that you would make an effort to do that is greatly appreciated. And I'll make sure. So let me do this. Okay. Is your name, this is a good question, Jay the Rapper. Is your name number more important than your birthday? No. Your birthday is always important. Why? Well, you could be James the Rapper, but you could be John Elliott. Okay. So the name can change, like Christopher Latour Wallace. No, Christopher George Latour Wallace was known as Biggie Smalls, but he was born on May 21st. Then if you look at I forgot DMX's name. It escaped my attention, but that's not his name. But I know he's a Sagittarius 9 person. You know what I'm saying? So it's no, the birthday. See, the birthday is like the rock. The birthday is what makes everything steadfast, Jay. Okay. The name changes. And especially in a woman's life, they can change through marriage. With men, it changed through philosophical reasons, religious reasons, criminal reasons. Okay. It changed for all people change their name for all kind of reasons. There was a friend of mine, his name was Willis, and he talked to his mother into signing a paper. Unbeknownst, she didn't pay much attention because he never liked the name Willie, excuse me. And he indirectly changed it to the name William. All righty. So his name is William, or now he's known as Bill, but his original name was Willie, which he never liked. Okay. So, but he can't change his birthday, which is July the 30th, making him a Leo. So, okay. Let me see this one. Here is, I put in a question about reincarnation, life path numbers. Not sure if you can find it. Now, in theory, supposedly, remember I gave the example earlier at the person in the third grade. I'm going to go over time. So, for those who want to stick around, thank you, because I do want to touch on some of these. The theory is that if you've learned the lessons in this incarnation, which is from the womb to the tomb, from sunrise to sunset, that in theory, when you come back in the next existence, you'll be in the fourth grade. There are all kinds of theories. The only thing for me is I can't prove it. And see, I come out of New York City where everybody's like, yeah, what does that mean? You got to prove that to me. So I understand the theory behind it, okay, but I can't prove it. And what I love about numerology in any math, whether you're an accountant or whatever, all the numbers can be proved out. All righty. So, but these are all theories for me. Okay. I hope that's it. Pumpkin Mel, thank you very, very much. Okay. Is this new relationship good? Okay, Lydia, I'm going to see what that means in a second. I think I'm almost at the bottom. Let me see. Okay. This person here says they're trying to figure out their purpose, their career, also trying to figure out close relationships and best friends. Okay, I'm going to try to get to that later. You can't. That's the beauty of numerology. It makes for, it tells you who you're attracted to, who you're not. That's why in astrology, there's certain zodiac signs, and this is the correct address for those who are serious about saying, okay, I think I want to make this a career. There's no guarantee. The guarantee is you. Now, one time I went to school to see about one of my kids. I had to see the principal, so it was one of them kind of occasions. Okay, but while I was waiting outside of the principal's office, he had this little poster up. He says, "Don't give me a fish, teach me how to fish." And ever since that has always stuck out with me. So my thing is to teach you how to fish, not to give you a fish. And yes, I will help you along. Like after the course is finished, I'll be available to help you along, but I can't hold your hand. That's not going to help you. You're going to have to do some fishing yourself. It's interesting. We human beings are the most complicated and take the longest to raise and get up out the house. Some never do. But if you was a bird, about 2-3 weeks, no more than a month or two, your butt is looking for another nest. They kicking you out of there. Okay. This is how it works in the animal kingdom. They ain't got no time to be nurturing you and babying you and spoiling you and all this other stuff. You're going to have to fend for yourself. And so we once did have those kind of qualities, but now it's a whole different kind of style of this civilization that we live in. But yes, I will help you. There's no question. If you take this course and you want to be one of the, and I'm talking about a small group of people. I ain't talking about a whole bunch of people, because I want to concentrate to make sure that each and every one of you who take this course to want to make it a career, learn how to make it a career. And I will support you, but I'm not going to hold your hand. No, because I'm teaching you how to fish, not giving you a fish, because that's not going to help you. Okay. So anyway. Okay. All right. And Molden Clay, I have a little guidance where I choose to relocate. That's interesting. Today's the 20th. She's in a 2-month, or Molden Clay is in a 2-day. See, sometimes I don't, because majority of my clients are women, I always assume it's a woman. And my brother, August 19th, April 19th, April 18th, it got me straight. His birthday's coming up next month. And ever since then, I try to be more conscious. Like here, like Queen Jen, it's obvious she's a woman. So with Molden Clay, that can be, but I've always assumed it's a woman, but it don't have to be. But anyway, thanks for the donations. I'm going to get back to that. Okay. And this is MSN, give insight. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Thank you, Earl Simmons. I don't know what's up today with this writer's block, and like with Hank Riser's son, brother, I've been knowing him about over 30 years. So there was no reason I should have went blank. But I'm human. Okay. That's the one thing I've realized. I'm human. I'm not perfect. Anybody out there that's perfect, can you please send me a note about how you do it? I've never met a perfect person on this planet. Never, ever. You know, not even those that say, claim they can walk on water. It's not happening. Okay. We're going to make mistakes. And I've learned how to accept mine and be a human being. Okay. And if you do, you'll be happy with yourself too. But there is so much in this culture about certain expectations you got to fulfill, that you gotta be flawless. You gotta be. There's no movies. Yes, movies. No question. Real life. It's not gonna happen. Little Magic. Thank you very much. I'm gonna get to everybody. Okay. I think that's about it for now. I didn't see any questions, so I'm gonna go back a bit and just had to quit school nursing. Okay, good, good. Alrighty, I'm gonna zip up and kind of touch on everybody. And I do thank you very much. Alrighty, okay, here we go. I'm going to start at the kind of top. So I'm going to touch on everything just kind of briefly. I'm going to go through everything. By the way, I'm going to have another numerologist on Monday. His name is Hank Rising Sign. Little Magic. See, that's obvious, guys. So I'll be start. So let me go back here. Okay, I'm going to start kind of at the top. I'm going to and KO Colors, she's always so cool, always supportive. Thank you so much. Bless you. And see the goddess and Oracle. This is my girl because she's a Gemini. She's birthday's coming up in a couple of months. Let me see. Just ask people. This is a good question. Soul Flow says, are Aquarius people unique? Yes. Here's what I found out too. Technically, all of the signs are unique. Some are more unique than others. And it all depends on what date you were born under that unique sign. And that's why I got into this. When I was being shy at school, shy around the girls and everything. So I said, well, let me try to figure out what I'm doing. Who am I? And I got into astrology. I'm an Aquarius, this, that, and the other. But I found out in my journey that everyone wants to know, are they special too? And that broadens my scope. So I know I'm an Aquarius. It's supposed to be the best sign in the zodiac. You tell that to a Leo, you tell that to an Aries, they're going to disagree with you, okay? And you tell that to most of the signs because that's the sign you're in and you can't change it. So you might as well accept that you're great too. So every sign is unique. Some are more unique than others, like heights. Some are taller than others. If that answers your question, good question in that one. Okay, let's see. This one here, the name is Quintanilla O'Connor. The birthday is Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius with a Pisces moon, a Gemini rising on a life path 3, which means they're in the 3rd grade in the school of life. You are an Aquarius 4 person, which means you like to be different. Each number also has a home around the pie or the horoscope. Well, the number 4's home isn't the natural home of a number 4 is in the sign of Aquarius. So your number is exactly where it's supposed to be. And in this case, since 4 is known to be kind of moody, they like to be their own best company. And then you being an Aquarian too. So if you've ever felt that way, that would be good. Now, the only exception to that is the month, the day, and the year you're born adds up to a 3, which is more expressive. So you might be more of an expressive kind of January the 31st versus like a former baseball legend, great Jackie Robinson, who had another destiny number altogether. All right. So that's where the difference is. But your numbers will always be the 4, 1, and 5. And your best days will always be on Sundays and Wednesdays. No question. Okay. Okay. So here's Soul Flow. He said he was born on February the 6th. And he's a master number 11, also an Aquarius in the 11th house. I feel I'm connected to the divine. Actually, we all are, which is why I took a page from this lady's podcast that sponsors the show, and that I've in turn sponsored the show when she says the God in me loves the God in you, all of us. And in the Bible, it says we are made in God's image. And if we're made in God's image, that means God is inside of us too. And the point is the fact of changing this hatred and venom and negativity we have toward each other. And that's by design too. That's why there's a problem with family. And it's very important that we learn how to love the God in us that loves the God in you. So, my brother, you are just as special as me. If there are millions and millions of sperm that come out of one egg, and that one sperm and that one egg gets together, and we are a byproduct of that union, you can't tell me you're not special. And anyone else in this viewership is not special. It's how we look at life. You look at your life either half empty, half full. Mine is always full to the top. It wasn't always that way. Hang on front, it wasn't always that way. But mine is full all the way to the top. So it tells me you're an Aquarius 6 person. Your numbers are the 6, 2, and 7. And these are all psychic and intuitive numbers. And if you do feel this divine connection, you just ought to, because we are. Listen, we could have been born a bumblebee, okay? We could have been born a cockroach. We could have been born an ant. We have been born in his highest image, man. Okay. So when you look at it like that, you can't tell me you're not divine. We are divine. And I would have to agree with you 1,000%. So not only feel it, act like it. We need to act like this toward each other too. So that's my philosophy. I'll get off my soap. But anyway, you're under a fixed sign, and this year you're in a year where you should do a lot of reflecting, soul searching, and it makes sense that you are in a 7 person year under the law of attraction that deals with God's number. I would say you're right on point, brother. Right on point. Yeah, definitely so. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Pumpkin McNeil, that says she carries her numbers in you book like a Bible. I really appreciate that. My book walks a lot of times too. But anyway, let's go to Wanda. She's born November the 13th. So this is the same day as Whoopi Goldberg. This is her birthday. Other famous people of note. But anyway, later for all that. You are a water sign with an air number. Water means, see, because each number and sign is ruled by an element. So Scorpio is ruled by the element of water. The number 4 is ruled by the element of air. So when you understand and merge these both, that tells me she's passionate and logical, sensitive and deductive, and their conclusions, and love to think outside the box. All 4s, as a rule, will have at some point in their journey secret enemies, because 4s are futuristic. They Whoopi Goldberg has had her share of secret enemies too, but they just different. It's like they can't help themselves. If everybody wants to do it one way, they're going to do it another way. And oftentimes they will find that if they go up the road of life, that the persons will say, you know what you did was they just didn't hear. See, it's like a reading score. Can you read the word just, but can you comprehend what you just read? Well, that's kind of like 4. Your numbers are the 4, 1, and 9. So that tells me with that combination, it's not easy being you, young lady. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Now, Tamika, thank you very much, Miss Kimball, that gave me Earl Simmons' birthday. You happen to be born on the 14th of May. So you are an earth sign with an air number, unlike the lady who is a water sign with an air number. So earth means you're very pragmatic, very down to earth. Normally, people born in the 5th month and on the 14th day walk. You probably walked before about 9 or 10 months old. You was walking. You know, it's like, okay, let us walk down to the store, something like that. But 5 people, because you're born on the 14th day, are very smart, very engaging. And what's interesting in astrology, Scorpio is considered the sex sign. In numerology, 5 is considered the sex number. So therefore, since you're born on the 5th day and the 14th month, the 5th month and the 14th day, I would say attracting the opposite sex has never been an issue to you. The key to keeping you, though, is to let you breathe, because that air energy, air's all over the place. Air ain't just in my house and here, air is everywhere you walk it, okay? So your key numbers, by the way, are always, without exceptions, the 5, the 6, and the 9. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me see. I read Nubian about how to relate in the hemisphere. Okay. Okay. Yes, and Tamika was also the one that told me about George Foreman named all his kids George. I don't know why he did that. I don't know. I wouldn't call that creative thinking, but listen, he's keeping it simple. This is Nicholas Noel, born 10/10/82. You're in a 1 personal year. That means this is a year to jumpstart your life, jumpstart your career, start all over again, fresh, and look forward to doing things totally new that sets the stage for the next 9 years. Your birthday suggests some concerns with the eyes, the back. And in fact, I think I'm going to do something on the health. One day I'm going to do something on herbs and fruits that are very good for all the numbers and all the signs too. That's in my book, Numbers in You. Um, your key numbers are the 149. And since all of these are leadership numbers and you're in a leadership year, Nicholas, you have no excuse to jump out there on faith and do the things that are good for you. It's just that simple. Every now and then we got to be selfish, and this is your year to be selfish, okay? Now, here is Lydia Walker. She's born on January the 10th. So she also is in a one cycle year. See, the cycles go from 1 to 9, right? So then they'll say, well, what about 10? Well, 1 plus 0 is 1. What about 11? 1 plus 1 is 2. The point is you're starting in a brand new 9 cycle year. It's like you having a blackboard, right? And you erase the blackboard, and now it's all fresh, so you can write whatever you want to on it. So what you're doing this year is symbolically writing the plans of what you want and expect over the next 9 years. So let's say you've got somebody that's been working your nerves. If you keep them into this year, believe me, they're going to stay in your life until the next 9 year cycle is completed. That's why this year, in a one cycle year for anyone out there, this is your year to be selfish. What's in your best interest? What are you getting out of it? Your 3 best friends are me, and more of me. That's exactly it. And like they tell you on a plane, when the change in the cabin pressure and the mask drop down, you can have an infant in your arm, man. Just got here. Supposed to put it on you first. Well, that's how the 1 person year is for you. And it tells me you would make an excellent lawyer, doctor, scientist, everything like that, Lydia. And even when I looked at your name, you don't look your age. Um, Either. So you will attract younger men as a result of it, which is none of my business. Okay. Okay. Now my Empress Rose says there's 72 people and only 42 likes. So can y'all please help a brother out and help my sisters out doing this every Monday and Wednesday by pressing the like button? I mean, especially since we tend to come out of a culture that's lend me, give me, can you spare, is it free? Please spare me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Um, this person is born on Beats by Blaze Zone Out Music, August 8th. And it says they have a Pisces rising, a Leo, Sun, Cancer, Moon. Okay, no. Okay, if I'm looking at this birthday, you're Leo. So Pisces rising. Okay, you have a Pisces ascendant, a Leo sun, and a Cancer moon. Now I got you. And you're born at 9:45 p.m. So that means your sun is somewhere sitting probably in the second or the third house, to be honest with you. And I'm born on a Thursday. Well, anyway, you would be a fire sign with a water number. So that means you are passionate and proactive and prolific and energizing and taking the initiative. But at the same time, you can be very laid back with that water energy. This is that kind of same combination as this famous actress, Angela Bassett, who is also, but she's born on the 16th, 9 days after you. But it indicates you're the strong, silent type. And just because you kind of laid back, that don't mean you're a pushover. But I would not listen. People gonna get their feelings hurt if they try to do that. That is not the way to go with that. That's all I can tell you. But you have 4 numbers. Unlike most people, your numbers are the 7, 2, 1, and 4. And Mondays and Sundays are your best days. So 72, 14 are your key numbers: 7, 2, 1, and 4. And seven's like the worry. And although they get to the past the point of worrying, they find there's no big deal. There's really not. And this is Kendra, born on January the 20th. Yes, January the 20th. So you're a borderline case. Now, in some cases, I know people born on this month and day that consider themselves a Capricorn. And then there's some people that consider themselves 0 degree Aquarius getting into it, because each sign has 30 degrees in the process of things. And anyway, you're born at 1:29 p.m. So that means your sun is 12, 1, 2. Your sun is actually sitting in the 9th house, the house of travel, the house of international interactions and things like that. So if you travel extensively, that would be good. It also indicates one who's very picky. Also, since you're in a 2 personal year, which matches your birthday, it means that you're in a transitional year with either relationships or where you're working or where you're living. But this year is a year to turn on the charm, be sweet, be irresistible, Kendra, and you'll find that you'll get a whole lot of what you need without much effort. Andrew Wade, this is September the 15th, Earth sign with an Earth number. So that means sometimes you can be stuck in your ways too. And it's not in a bad way, but Earth, if you look at Earth, man, Earth can be rock solid or it can be moist in a sense where you can plant the seeds of what you want to grow. So sometimes too much of is sometimes almost bad as none of. So what that means is not being appearing to other people to be overbearing. So if sometimes people can, like especially in personal relationships, they think you have control issues. Well, six is like everything tight. And Virgo is kind of like that too. Their thing is I analyze. So they're analyzing everything. And would you have a relationship number? That means everything in there. So people might think you're overly jealous, which is not true. It's just you got a different way. But your numbers are the 6, 5, and 9 more than anything else. Now this is Armand Adele. I'm going to just say Armand. Born at 6/29/1999. Look at all those nines running through the birthday. So although you are a Cancer, and the number 2, because you're born on the 29th, the adds 2011, the adds 2 rules the sign of Cancer, you would be not the typical Cancerian because you got all those nines running through your numbers. And 9 is a very assertive, aggressive, proactive, energized number where they're going to take charge. So not, and then your life path is a 9 too, if you notice. And you're absolutely right. And you're born on a Tuesday, that rules the number 9. Okay, and you're born at 10:32 a.m., which means 6. You are in the 11th house. That's where you are. You're in the house of groups. That's where you are. Your sun is positioned in the left house in the sign of Aquarius, which deals with groups and stuff like that. All this is an art form and stuff like that. But nonetheless, this is your year to be spiritual because you're in a 7 personal year that governs the sign of Cancer and Pisces. So this is a year not to chase after things, but to magnetize by simply thinking about it, daydreaming about it, seeing it in your mind is already happening. It also indicates, Armand, you're very sensitive. You get along better with women, but sometimes they wind up being a blessing and a curse too at the same time. Okay. My man, Cinematic Brothers, how you doing, buddy? We talked on the phone. I'm gonna tell you, man, it's nice meeting people that attend this program that I either get to see, which is rare, but I get to talk to, which is a lot more. And it's like really, really, really nice. And I thank them all very much. Truth Bowl, born July the 27th. This is a fire number with a fire sign. Now, nines normally think they're the greatest thing since ice cream from Jump Street. Okay. Not only that, but the 27, the compound number 27 is called the Royal Scepter in the Tarot deck, the weight deck. And it indicates one who succeeds as a result of their productive intellect. So that tells me you're smart and engaging. And normally when I see this kind of combination, almost without exception, they're your managers, supervisors, directors, heads of departments, things of that nature with all that fire up in there. Okay. And it also indicates too, that probably you either had your own business, made attempts in your life to step out on faith. And it does suggest since you were born in, when I'm looking at the month, the day, and the year you're born, you have a 6 destiny. So that means you're going to end in service. And actually, since you're in the harvest cycle of your harvest period of your life, it indicates you probably will do well owning a piece of property or two. That's how I see that. And yes, I do offer personal reasons. All you got to do is go to, there's a couple of things. You can go to, I'll keep it simple, go to Linktree/numbers in you, and you'll see a point where you can schedule a session to talk to me, okay? And thanks, Cinematic. I really appreciate that. Okay, this is Pumpkin McNeil, 1122. I think this is the brother I read there in Capitol Heights there. I was telling him how to drop a letter in his name, how to change the frequency. You would be surprised. That's why I was talking about at the beginning of the show. The power of your name is awesome. Even Shakespeare once says, what's in the name? The response was everything more than you can imagine. So if you're walking down the street and your name is Lloyd and they call you Joey, you ain't going to turn around because you know your name ain't no Joey. Okay, but you'll turn around if your name is Lloyd or vice versa. So the name has a lot of weight. So in this case, born 1122, you're in a 5 personal year. That means you're at the midway point of this 9-year journey, and you have to make decisions as to which way you need to carry your life and carry out your affairs. And since you're born in a master number 11 month, And on a master number day, as Jazz Aphrodite, I like to take her line, for whom much is given, much is required. That is very, very true. So the more you are challenged, sometimes the more that means you're destined to meet greatness. Is how your attitude is going to be. Attitude takes a lot. It's how you look at it, perspective. And in fact, if you go to Miss Kimberly's show, Manifest on Purpose, she was talking about the way you look at things. And this was, I think, on Wednesdays, her Wednesday show. I listened to it in the mornings because it's on Mondays and Wednesdays like this show. Mine is in the evenings, hers is in the morning. Totally coincidence. But her thing is about taking the psychology of the subconscious mind and how it works. And I think all of y'all should listen to that show and see it. But perspective is everything. But this year is about change for you. Okay. Okay. So Darius said they were born at 4:30 p.m. So that means, so if I'm doing 6:30, that means technically you're about in the seventh house. I do believe you either in, yeah, you either in let me see, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're in nine. You're in the seventh house. Your son is in the seventh house, the house of partnerships, the house of relationships, the house of marriage, things like that. Okay. Um, Thank you. J Pod says they love the online courses. I'm hooked. Thank you so much. Their full name is a 6. Their birthday is born on date is a 6. That's interesting. And they're also a middle child. So that means, I guess, about 3 be a middle child. 5 would be a middle child. 7 would be a middle child. If you're born in that way, you'd be the 4th out of that, 3 on each side. But nonetheless, this year for you is about making important and needed changes in your life, bar none. It's a good time to sell yourself, your ideas, your talent, your gifts, your skills, your abilities, to make something of yourself worthwhile. And 5 is a promotional number. 5 is I call it the advertising number. If you need to get your name out there, get on a website or platform, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case is, to do that, you would do good. But this year is going to bring about some meaningful and yet very important changes in your life, particularly in the month of, let me see, because if you're in a 5 cycle, that's going to be in the month of May. May is going to really bring a move in your life. And May is one of your good months because your numbers are the 5, 6, and 9. And your best months are April, May, June. On the other side of the summer, September, October, November. Okay. Thank you. Now, out of 88 people, we only got 61. No excuse. This is free. Okay. Just do this now. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Darius Sturtevant. I think he made a donation. If so, for they born March 1st. Happy related birthday. You're in a 3 cycle year, which is in a Jupiter cycle. So this is your year like it was back in 2020. No, 2015. That's what it is. And this is your year for you to really expand your horizons, make the right connections, get with those like-minded parties that want to aim to go in high places. That's what it's about. It's going to be a very busy year, but at the same time, if you play your cards right, financially and a way of prosperity, you should do extremely well come this time next year. Okay, Cinematic Brother, thank you. David is born on the 20th, and he happens to be in what is called a 9 personal year. Now, 9 is one of your challenging numbers, David. And so the nice thing about it is you're born under a 2C, because 9 can be impulsive. They can kind of jump to conclusions without really, you know how you jump out and then all of a sudden you want to look, but you're already out there in space, okay, ready to hit the sidewalk. Well, the nice thing about you born on the 20th, 2 is about patience. So despite the point of maybe wanting to be impulsive in certain instances because of the cycle that you're in for 2024, it is best at the same time to kind of still keep in mind that, yes, you might want to impulsively do something, but take that thing that's been a time-honored thing, which is normally you take your time and you take a wait-and-see attitude before you make that jump. Your key numbers are the 2, 7, and 1, and 4. You got 4 numbers also, too. Okay. Thanks for buying the numbers and you think for your mother. I'm just seeing that. Thanks, Kevin. Kevin said hi. Thanks, Kevin, very much. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to get to. Okay, here we got Holy Hemet, born November 28th. Looking forward to my wife and I booking with you, great brother. Okay. So this is your birthday, I assume. So you're a fire sign with a fire number. This is Barry Gordy, the founder of Motown Enterprise Music Industry. But anyway, your birthday says this, that whoever you are, this is a year, I'm almost sure you might be in the master number 11 personal year. Hold on one second. I'm going to do this in just a second. That's 11, 28, 2024. Now, let me tell you how I find out. I put the month at the top, the date underneath the month, then the year underneath that. Then I add down, but instead of putting the year you were born, I put so that's 12, 13, and 6. You happen to be in the master number 11 personal year. I'm glad I took the time to do that. That means this is a year of enlightenment for you. This year, you need to be the torchbearer, the light bearer, to shine the way for other people, to bring their consciousness to a whole nother level, my friend. You don't get normally these personal years don't come that often. When they do, that means this is a year for you to seize opportunities and seize the time. That's exactly what it's about. And then you're born in the 11th month too. So if you got these great ideas, these great concepts, these great feelings and hunches about people and situations, you should follow your spirit guide and not ignore. Because we men are taught, oh, you don't be sensitive, you got to be a man, you got to be logical. But sometimes we men are also, you know, we got other things too. So your intuitions are very strong. So you should pay attention to your spirit guide, my friend. Your numbers are the 1, 4, and 3. And Sundays and Thursdays are your best days. Now, what I want to do, if you don't mind, okay, now this is interesting, and then I'll get to other ones. This is Andre. He says, I'm looking at the time. What's the difference between 2:34, 3:42, and 4:32? Is it the same, or are these numbers different? Yes and no. Okay, I know that sounds like a political answer, right? Yes and no. Here's what I mean. All of the numbers add up to a 9. That's the first thing. But the base number one starts with a 2, one starts with a 3, and one starts with a 4. And so the root number is always the foundation. So with 234, it means a more sensitive, considerate way of starting out. With a 3 as the first base number, it means a more creative, imaginative, and expressive way of starting out. And with it 4, that means a person who lays a foundation, the cornerstone, or lay the blueprint or the footprint to what they plan to do. But nonetheless, they all add up to a 9, which suggests the person in mind could either be a Aries or Scorpio or Leo, or born on the 9th, the 18th, or 27th. Subconsciously, it means something where you need to kind of either wish for some wish fulfillment, or basically in the back of your mind, your thing is, you know what? I had enough of you, and all y'all are out of here. It's a wrap. In other words, endings. Okay. Thank you. Good question. Okay. Good. Okay, let me deal with some of the donations, please. I don't want to leave them out too. And as I said to people because sometimes only after the show I get a chance to look at everything. This one is Sundeep Born. Now, this is a person, there was a famous African-American artist named Romeo Bibb who was born on this day. And 2 is not only deals with the art, it deals with the written word. Some of the famous writers from Richard Wright to others are born in this energy. It would indicate a love of poems, things of that nature. I see you're born in the master number 22 year, which is 1993. It also indicates that you are an earth sign with a water number, which means you are a nurturing kind of spirit, Sundeep. It also indicates you're very psychic and intuitive too. And you're one of the few signs in the zodiac that's a human symbol rather than an animal symbol. This is Virgo the Virgin, as it's called. There are only 3 signs that exhibit a human characteristic, which is Gemini the Twins, Aquarius the Water Bearer, and Virgo the Virgin. All righty. So it means, you said you think your life path is a 33. It could be, it all depends on how you add it. Well, see, if you add it straight across, I'm seeing 22 there would be 33. If you added 9 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 3, yes, it would be. But nonetheless, it tells me you're sensitive. You like to collect things, and dance and theater and design, and being hugged twice a day does wonders for you. Your key numbers are the 2, 7, and 5, and your best days are always on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay. Let me just go to, okay. Darius Savant, thank you very, very much for the donation. Much appreciated. And I'm going to get to other people. I just want to acknowledge those that made the donation. All this started with, I ain't mad at 19 Keys. We just started on this program. I was doing real well. Pumpkin McNeil, I read you earlier. Thank you so much for the donation. But I just wanted to acknowledge those so nobody feels that they've been left out or shortchanged. Okay. And this is Molding Clay 222. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the birthday of famous actor Sidney Poitier. Barbara Jordan. No, Barbara Jordan was born on the 21st of February. She was a politician back in the day during the 80s and 90s. Anyway, you are a water sign with a water number, which means super sensitive. Very, very much so. 2, I notice, is a collector of things. They're your hobbyists, your collectors of coins or cards or cars or dolls or something like that. So if you've been a collector, and what I say to women especially is, and I'm assuming it's a woman, maybe, well, I'm going to try to keep it generic in the sense that number 2 people, they either like to collect things or they find it hard to throw things away because they're very sentimental like that. That is part of their MO. All of this you will learn when you take the course, because every single one of us are wired differently to a greater or lesser degree. And numerology has taught me such a beautiful thing of how to interact with people, understand that every single one of you are divinely special, but in your own special way. And part of the challenges in this culture is everybody wants you to do it their way, but they don't want you to do it. They don't want to do it your way. So you got to be as true to yourself as that other person want to be as true to themselves. They can't have it both ways. Not unless you allow them to have it both ways. But you must be true to yourself. And it tells me whoever you are, male or female, you're a very sensitive soul. And born under the sign of Pisces. And all those 2s are psychic numbers. Pisces is a psychic sign, which means you should always follow your guidance, follow your, and where should you relocate? In my book, Numbers in You, there are places where you can go. I've got, I think it's some page 1 something, where I've got best places to live and best places to vacation. Because the place you move to, because each city, New York City is a number 1, Atlanta is a number 1, Boston is a number 1. So for Leos and Aquarians and people born on a 1st or a 4, that would be a good city. Well, every city has a numerical frequency. And this is why some people can get to that city and prosper. And then some people can get to that city and they ready to get up out of there as soon as they land in there. Okay. So that's it. But your numbers are the 2, 7, and 3. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. MSN, thank you very much. And they're born June the 17th. That makes you a Gemini 8 person. So your numbers are the 8, 6, and 5. Your best days are Saturday, followed by Friday, followed by Wednesday. 8 people tend to be misunderstood, just like doctors misunderstand you too. So the meantime is just be yourself. I find, especially if you happen to be a female, the more, and with 8s in general anyway, I'll say regardless, generically, regardless of it, I've noticed the more a number 8 person tries to make an impression, the more people read it wrong. But if you to yourself, just be who you are. Don't try to make no impression. Don't try to front. Don't try to, you know what I'm saying? Just be organic, be authentic, and you'll find that you will do well. And so for all number 8s, I have a motto that if there would be to know MS is to love MS. Okay. But your numbers are the 8, the 6, and the 5, and your best days always on Saturdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay, I'm gonna stop in about 5 minutes at 10:30. I mean, not 10:30, 8:30. And okay, now this is an interesting question from K Love. She has the numbers in you, the app. Thank you so much. Love it. Don't know my time of birth, neither does my mom, and I know it matters. My date of birth is 9/24. Well, first of all, she's a Libra 6. Each number has a natural home around the zodiac. In the number 6, whether you're the 6th, the 15th, in her case, the 24th, the natural home for the number 6 is in the sign of Libra. The number 6, the natural home for the number 6 is also in the sign of Taurus. And the common glue that connects the two is the planet Venus. That's how that's done. So once you do that, now they are expert astrologers. Maybe the one that I had on my show, Dominic Holmes, if you use his services, or Khalil Washington, that's going to be on Monday, April the 1st, that they can rectify chart. There's a way in which they'll ask you questions that'll kind of nail down when you were probably born to determine your ascendant. So, for example, if you're very tall, that means your rising sign may have been in the sign of Capricorn. If you're very short, your ascendant might have been in the sign of Virgo. So, because each rising sign denotes the physical appearance of what people see you visually with. You see you tall, whatever. I'm an Aquarius, is supposed to be tall, but my ascendant is Virgo, which is cut my height. You see what I'm saying? So these things are fascinating. But nonetheless, though, you're a 6, and your numbers are the 6, 3, and 9, and your best days are always on a Friday, followed by a Tuesday, followed by a Thursday. There is no question. And this particular year, you're in a 5 personal years. So that means you're at a turning point, and 5 and 6s get along very well. So that means this year, and especially next year, because next year, 2025, is a 9. That's one of your numbers. Then you'll be in a 6 personal year at the same time, too. You'll be my new best friend. Okay. In fact, you're going to be a whole lot of people's best friends next year, because that's the time to fall in love, fall out of love, make money, move to a location, go back to school. It's going to be an awesome time, like it was back in the fall of 2015 and the 2016, because everything is cyclical, as all women know. All right. My man, Lil Magic, thank you so much, man. They born this Friday, the 22nd. So that means you are Aries. All righty. So that means your key numbers, and thanks for the donation. Your key numbers are the 4, 1, and 9. And it tells me that your best days are always on a Sunday and a Tuesday, and in a minor way, Wednesday. But it tells me it's not easy being you, because Aries is the sign of open enemies, and the master number 22, which adds up to the 4, is the number of secret enemies, which tells me if it ain't one thing, it's another. It's always kind of like something. But this particular year for you is a year where things begin to expand, to begin to grow. This year's whatever you worked hard for over the last 2 or 3 years, now you can bring it to the marketplace by way of advertising it, promoting it, selling it, getting it out there, and things like that, and enhancing your good name and reputation. But you do like to be different. I ain't going front. If everybody goes one way, you go another way. And it's so interesting that you would donate $4.99, because that adds up to 22. And you were born on the 22nd, which is okay. So that's how my mind look at numbers all kind of ways. But anyway, happy birthday coming up, my brother. I wish you well, and thank you so much for the donation too. Okay, let me see something here. I think that's it for the donations. And okay. Here, thank you, Brother Eba. I don't know why I said brother. It could be Sister Eba. But thank you so much for the donation. Much appreciated. And I'm sorry I won't have time to read everybody. I done had you on hour and a half like you ain't got nothing to do with your time. This is Abdul Roos, born November 29th. That tells me you're a 5 sign with a water number, which means passionate yet sensitive, kind of action oriented yet patient. So sometimes it all depends on what day they catch you on, but your key numbers are the 2, the 7, and the 3. And your best days are always on a Monday, a Thursday, and a Friday. And this is your year where things are opening up. Actually, you're in a Sagittarian cycle. You're in the Jupiter cycle this year, which is good luck for you. And that's it too. Now, this is an interesting question. Does your Chinese zodiac important? For example, I'm a Taurus. They're born on May the 4th. That's 19 Keys' birthday, by the way. And your life path is a 1, and you are metal horse. Yes, Chinese astrology is just as important as traditional astrology, except they have animal symbols too. They have dragons, they have pigs, they have horses, they have snakes, they have monkeys. There's different, but they still have, if you notice, animal symbols. all right? But the most dynamic symbol is the dragon. That's the one. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the year of the dragon. It always comes in an even year. And like a leap year that comes every 4 years. Yes, the Chinese astrology is, in fact, metal, because each is metal, wood, water, fire, whatever the case is there. You know what? I think because of you, I'm going to talk about the Chinese astrology signs. I think that's be something that would be very interesting. I am not of Chinese descent. Maybe I can find somebody who is really, really averse or really adept at understanding. I'm sure I can if I make the effort. Maybe somebody out there knows. I would love to invite them on the show to explain. And all you do is look in your ear. Now, they have a lot of apps on these websites, Android, iPhone, that you can download a Chinese astrologer to find out what year you're born in. Like last year was the year of the tiger, I do believe. This is the year of the dragon. They get their turn. And then next year is the year of the pig or whatever year it is. But the point is, and it always starts in the sign of Aquarius. I noticed that. And always around the new moon. That's for sure. Notice, all the signs change in the zodiac sign of Aquarius in the new moon. So that much I know. Anyway, thank you very much for that. Your numbers are the 4, 1, and 5, and your best days are always on Sundays and Mondays. Okay. Let me see if I got one more. Yep. Mama Zika, June 18th. It tells me you get along better with the men than you do the women. To be very honest, you are a leader. You are a traveler. Gemini is the traveling sign. 9 is the traveling number. And then you're born on the 18th, which is considered the power of mediumship to go in and out of the visible and invisible world. So it's going to be a very interesting year for you. In fact, it's going to be a year of change. You're going to be in a 5 personal year. You are in a 5 personal year, in fact. And so this is a time to change your life. Next year is going to be sweet. Why? Well, because 2025 is the year of the 9, and you're born on the 27th, the 18th, which is a 9. And you'll be in a 6 personal year. And your key numbers are the 9, the 5, and the 6. And that'll be your romance and finance side. It's going to be hot, boy. You think it's going to be like it was back in 2015 and the 2016, 2006 and the 2007. 1997 into 1998, like that. If you can remember those cycles, everything is cyclical. So let me see. I've got one more, and then after that, I'm going to have to get off. I've had people on long enough. Tink Tuckum, I think. Sideria Daniels, born April 15th. So you got a birthday. No, she's born in 1999 too in Atlanta. Just quitting nursing school to continue pursuing one of her beauty businesses. Why not? 15, 6 is the number of money, gifts, and favors from others, and 6 rules a sign of beauty or anything that's very pleasing and aesthetics to the eyes and the senses. Okay, rich paintings, rich colors, fabrics, and it tells me of everything. It just explains to me why everything you buy, you really can't afford. Not that you're high maintenance. It's just that you've always had quality taste from Jump Street, although that didn't how it started out when you first came up as a young child. And Sudaria, okay, Sudaria. It gave me the proper spelling. But anyway, your numbers are the 9, the 6. No, excuse me. Your numbers are the 6, 9, and 3. Your best days are always on a Friday, Tuesday, and a Thursday. And thank you so much for the donation. Much appreciated. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. Zell. Okay, Zell. Thank you, brother. You're a water sign with an air number. So that means you're bright, intelligent, always been you're a very intelligent brother, man. I don't care what nobody said. Okay. Trust me on this. In other words, as a child, you always question things. Always with books. You probably got a lot of books or magazines in your house or material. In fact, you should go into the literary field like writing or some communications form or things of that nature. And this particular year for you finds that you will be in a 2 personal year, which is cool because your key numbers are, without exceptions, the 5, the 2, and the 7. These are always your numbers. You should write. Definitely. You got writing in your bones some kind of way. You may say, well, man, I can't write a word. You will be surprised what you can do when you put your mind to it. So anyway, and I would tell any woman the secret to holding on to is let you go. At the Cancerian side is that loving nature thing, but your number side says you need some space, you need to breathe. And thank you very much for the donation. Notice he donated $5 and he's born on the 5th. Okay, I wish I could answer everybody's questions, but I think I gotta go. I really this person here, my name is Malaja, born 8/8, very old soul. That has always been your energy. You're born at 9:02 p.m., so that means you're somewhere around in the third house of the zodiac. And no, did I do that right? Yeah, that means you would be around about the fifth, or you're probably in the fourth house though, but nonetheless, it tells me you tend to be misunderstood. And your moon is in Capricorn, that governs the number 8. So you're very serious minded. So people sometimes don't know how to read you. They think you're cold or distant, but you're not. It's just that people got to know you to love you. So take your time, be at peace. And since this is the year of the 8, you're born in the 8th month, in an 8th day. So that means you're in a 6th personal year, which is time for love and home and family and makeup and breakups and schooling and education, all those other things. Jose Perez, I want to thank you very much. Born on the 23rd of December, which makes you a borderline Capricorn, which means your numbers are the 5, 6, and 8, which means you always know somebody who knows somebody. And since you were born at 7:42 p.m., that means your sun, your moon is sitting toward the edge of the 6th house, going into the 7th house. No, excuse me, yours is actually your sun is sitting in the 6th house at 7:42 p.m. That's for sure. Okay. And it tells me you like to be different, but your lucky numbers again are the 5, 8, and 6. Okay. So anyway, I think that's it. I gotta get off this. Okay. And a little magic. Thank you very much, man. Happy birthday on Friday. Don't hurt nobody. Okay. But it's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be busy. I'm gonna tell you that. It's gonna be really, really busy. But next year is your year because next year favors those under Aries and Scorpio and Leo, and you'll be in a 4-person year at the same time. So I expect you this around about late September into October, going into 2025, to rock them, no question. All righty, I think that's it. I've got to get off this thing. Okay, everybody, I want to thank you, but before I go, let me just say this: this show is sponsored and brought to you by um, King Simon. Where's my buddy? Right here. This is part 2. This is it. Oh, let me do this. Take hold on. How did I do this? Oh, comments. Okay, there we go. This is for King Simon sponsoring the show. I thank him very, very much. Also, I've got to thank Miss Kimberly, Manifest on Purpose. Y'all really got to hear her podcast. She takes a page out of her life, but it always has a universal principle. If people are open and receptive, they can always learn. And I don't know whether you saw Jazz Aphrodite's Instagram page where she actually showed a copy of her book. I can't wait to get mine. I ordered soft cover and hardcover. I don't play. I love books. I love to read. And so she sponsored it. And these, by the way, speaking of books, these are my books. This is my best-selling book, Numbers in You. For those for my classes, my Learn from Lloyd series that's online. It's now in over 100 countries. This is the workbook to teach them. For those in relationships, and I'm going to do a lecture in relationships back in this coming June, back in Capitol Heights, Maryland. The Cosmic Blueprint to Happiness and Joy. And this is an update of this. Okay. And this one is called Lloyd's Book of Numbers and Numerology Guide for the 21st Century and Beyond. My guest on Monday is my man, Brother Rebels Bay, and he has a new book out. Congratulations. For those of you, it's not too late. We're in the 20th day of March, but you can still order the free monthly newsletter. And again, what makes it nice is I now have linked my interviews that I do on the Numbers in the Manifest on Purpose podcast, where you can actually, so the newsletter will allow you to read the script, but then I've now done the narrative. And if you go to her link, Manifest on Purpose, you'll see the timelines that you can actually see what I said and how I said it. Totally, totally different than how I wrote it. The written word is totally different than the spoken word. But anyway, that's enough. I took up enough of your time, but I really enjoyed it. And thank you, everybody, very, very much. And all of you have a nice day, a great weekend. And I promise to be more mindful of the time. In the meantime, thank you.